Alrighty, welcome everyone to week 11. This is your famous commissioner, Morgan Eck. And here with me today, we have, one of the league founding members and analyst, Alex Schroeder. Alex, go ahead and say hi.
Hello, league. Very excited to join for this special edition of this week's Commish Note via video.
Yep. Exactly. So Alex nailed it. This week's Commish Note will not be a note. Instead, it'll be Alex and I enjoying some Saturday beers at 2 o'clock on Saturday, doing a quick rundown of the league and this week's matchups, and kind of giving our opinion as we go. So today, what we'll do, we'll go through the standings, go through the matchups, give our playoff projections, and we're going totally off the hip here. So bear with us. Anything else, Alex, that work?
Nope. I think we'll try to keep it short and sweet for everyone.
Let's do it. All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Bear with me. All right. Can you see it?
I can see it.
All righty. Let's go through the standings real quick. So after 10 weeks, here's what we got. You see myself right here, 8-2, leading the charge by a good amount. I can actually annotate these things as we go. You can see me there at the top of the leaderboard. Then quickly followed by Alex and Kyle, who are both kind of 2 and 3 here. Both 6 and 4. Both have had good seasons so far. I think Kyle is probably, in a little bit better of a spot than you, but we'll get into that. Jackson, 5 and 5, has got to be probably the most disappointed in the league, I would say, or one of the most disappointed. I'd say he has one of the best teams on paper, but is not like being tied with Dylan for 4th place. Like I said, we got Dylan after him, and then we have the shit show of 4 and 6s, which is just kind of the entire second half of the league, which is Emerson, Darcy, Ethan, Cal, and Brian, all at 4 and 6, all relatively in the same point scored range. So it's going to be a battle for that last playoff spot. Alex, before we get going in the matchups, what are your takeaways so far this year after 10 weeks?
I mean, I'm really surprised to see that Jackson is sitting there in the middle. Not to pick on the former champ, but, you got to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if Eckler surprised me from Los Angeles, rather, the Chargers there, and I don't know, he really has strung together a group of guys. You went through the squad and everybody whose drafts were, the picks that were most disappointing. So, I mean, that takes me to Ethan. Obviously disappointing for him to be where he's at.
Meters.
I mean, you just look, David Johnson is almost useless now. And that's tough. And, he had took him and Joe Mixon before Dalvin Cook, which takes me to Kyle's team. I think it's been very impressive, the run he's been able to put together. With Cook, you can't really go wrong. As always, it's the running backs that are carrying the league. I'm so lucky to have Run CMC carrying me. And, so I think the running backs tell the story.
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing is we have all these teams at 4 and 6, but we haven't had really one big trade in the last, 5 or 6 weeks. We had a couple trades in the beginning. I think Deshaun Watson was traded, right, with Cal's trade. A couple other smaller things, but there hasn't been any big trades. So it'll be interesting to see if any of these 4 and 6 teams make a move. But, I mean, and the other thing I like so far this year is Emerson, I think, has probably top 3 team on paper. And if he can find his way into the playoffs, he'll be dangerous with Gordon, Sterling, or Saquon, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think Emerson deserves to make it. I think it depends on how Saquon holds up. But I would agree that Emerson really put together a hell of a draft. I don't know what the trade would be. I'd be curious to hear what people are cooking up behind the scenes, because we never have those trades that, I mean, besides when David Johnson went to Kyle 2 years ago and literally 3 years ago, whatever that was, and destroyed the integrity of the league. I feel like we never have those trades that really make or break and really change the complexion of the league, but you never know. I guess it could happen.
The problem with our league is we all know each other too well, and we're too afraid of each other to actually make any substantial move. We're all afraid that we're going to get burned by each other. So, all right. Well, that's kind of where we're at. So everyone can see kind of where the league is, what's been going on for the last, 10 or so weeks. Let me erase this. Pretty cool. Now let's move on to this week's matchups, because that's why we're all here. So first, let's start with where do you want to start? Ethan and Darcy?
Oh, I mean, This is like might as well be the toilet bowl, the poop bowl.
The most, I would say this is the friendliest matchup we have in our league. Ethan
That's
versus
true.
Darcy. If there wasn't
Every
a 10-year
time,
age gap, Ethan might have been getting married in Nantucket as opposed to Johnny.
Jesus Christ. No, you really do love to see. This is what it's all about. I mean, no matter who wins, they always shake hands, pat each other on the back at the end of the game. It's real sportsmanship. It's really why we play the game. And I expect this week to be no different. Going into the nitty gritty here a little bit, Josh Allen for Darcy. I really think he's been a surprise this year. I mean, I know he finished last year strong, but a great pickup off the waivers for her, I think.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about Galladay and the Lions. I was looking at Matthew Berry's rankings the other day, and he's got the Lions kind of dropping out of favor there. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, anything's possible. Peter's team literally lets him down on a weekly basis. I don't really know what to make of it. I know Mike Evans is probably the most stable wide receiver in the league, I think, if you look at the numbers. But,
yep.
I mean, he's taking a risk with Kenyon Drake. I don't know. Ingram, you love the Ravens, but you never know who's going to really make out besides Lamar there. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that I'm just laughing seeing 1 point scored from the Pittsburgh defense. But, I mean, even with the 1 point scored on Thursday night in a pretty crazy game, I think Darcy gets the win this week. She's been kind of that team that's like she's been quieter this year. She hasn't made any big moves, but at the same time, her team kind of gets the win whenever she needs it to. Like you said, I like Allen this week. I think Edelman shows up in a pretty big 4:30 rematch of the Eagles. I think that's kind of his game where he'll get like 2 or 3 touchdowns. I mean, looking at the rest of her team, Kirk has actually had a pretty sick year, and he has had that kind of the big playmaking ability. I just don't love Ethan this year. I think he needs to make a move. You know, he's always kind of had those teams where he's had the big studs like McCaffrey last year, and he just doesn't have that. He has Evans, but, you know, Mixon's been a bust. Ingram is good, but Ingram's playing the Texans this week, which will be a tough matchup. I just don't see how he breaks 90 points. I don't see how he does it, and I think Darcy could easily get kind of 101, 102. So I'm gonna crown Darcy. Would you agree? Crown Darcy the winner of this week?
Yeah, we'll give that one to Darcy. One last note: see, Footlong Fultz is back. We'll see how that holds up. He could maybe be the X factor.
All right, so we'll give Darcy. I'll give the score prediction: 102 Darcy, 88 Peter.
I'm going to go a little higher, like 112-92. But yeah.
Okay. So you think Darcy has a good week?
I think Darcy has a good week.
Okay, cool. All right,
Kirk
Darcy.
was on fire, 3 touchdowns last weekend. If he can repeat that, Darcy will break 100 for sure.
Yeah. All right. I like that. All right, moving on. Let's go to – where do you want to go here?
Let's go to the big matchup of you against Cal. Might as well get right into it.
Yeah. All right. I have some thoughts on this, but I'll let you kind of – want me to go first since you went first last time?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll let you look at it. All right. So what I'm excited about this week is I'm not just going to beat Cal. I'm going to beat Cal by using his 2 favorite players, Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs, against the Bengals and against him. So I think Carr and Jacobs will have great weeks against the Bengals this week. I like Carr in my QB1 with Russell out. I think Godwin and Thomas is kind of in that classic New Orleans or Tampa-New Orleans shootout. I think they could each potentially have, maybe not blowout games, but I think they could each have those games where they each get like 7 or 8 catches. And, I think Ertz has the ability to have a good game. Again, like I said, this is a big primetime game. I think he's starting to come around a little bit more. I don't love Le'Veon this week. He's kind of been banged up and hasn't been great all year, and I don't love Kupp lately, but I think my team has another 110, 115 week. But looking at Cal's team, he's got Deshaun versus the Ravens. Deshaun is one of those guys that will always put up 20 to 30 if you give him the chance, right? His wide receivers, though, I mean, it's McLaurin and Samuel from San Francisco. He just has no wide receiving threat. Zeke could have a huge game, but overall, I just don't see kind of where he's going to get 120 points this week. I don't see it because at the end of the day, he has Zeke. He has Hill from Atlanta who's starting because Freeman's out, which is a good pickup. I like that pickup a lot.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it. Kind of like where Ethan's team. I just don't think Cal's enough firepower right now. I think Cal probably needs to make a move for a big-time wide receiver. He actually has a pretty solid bench. He has Zeke. He has this new guy now who's – let me take off stamps. He has this new guy now from Atlanta. Fuck. But, look, he has a pretty good bench. He has Kittle. He has Chris Carson, he's got Zeke. I would make a move for a wide receiver if I were him, but that's just me.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
that's
I
a good one.
win. I think I win this one. Not easily, but I think I can pull this one out pretty easily, to be honest.
Yeah,
What do
I
you think?
agree. I mean, just a quick note: if Watson goes off, it's going to be a crazy game against Lamar. Everybody's watching that game.
Yeah.
If Zeke
Probably the best
does
game
what
of
he's
the week,
supposed
right?
to do, yeah, exactly. So I think Cal has a chance only if Watson goes like hammer time, if Zeke does what he's supposed to do, and Hill is really the X factor. That Atlanta pickup could prove to be,
Yeah.
the make or break for him. So, but I agree. Maybe make a move for a wide receiver. I know trading with Cal is like, trading with like, yeah, it's like trading anyway.
Gun to your
But,
head. Do you think we'll talk about it later? But gun to your head, do you think Cal makes the playoffs this year?
no,
Yeah, neither do I. I think honestly, if I were Cal, I would package Zeke. I would package Zeke for a number one wide receiver and a good running back.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, actually. Zeke is not playing up exactly to his potential, so might as well use his name, his value, and get something in return.
I was saying, like, for me, when I thought about trading for Zeke, it was like Michael Thomas and Le'Veon Bell for Zeke. Like that kind of like a top wide receiver and maybe a running back that's like not where he should be, but you can take a little bit of a gamble. That kind of thing. But what do you think final score? I think it's probably going to be similar to what they're projecting, like 110, 115-ish for me, and probably like 95 for Cal.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We'll see. If Hill goes off, then I think that could change it. But
yeah, we'll see.
I've never heard of two of Cal's wide receivers. I don't know. I didn't even know they were in the league. So that's kind of.
He's got Ty Williams on the Raiders, and that's just a homer. That's a homer. Let's go to this is a good game. This is kind of an important game for both. This is the two best teams playing each other this week, right? Kyle versus Jackson.
I mean, yeah, that's a huge game. We can go to there.
And Jackson already got 9 points out of Chubb, but if we're being honest, he probably won more than 9.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's team, I've lost to him by single digits twice now, I think, this year. So he's very frustrating. He's one of those teams that can just dig it out. It's really all about grit with Jackson's team, something he might have picked up at Penn. I'm not sure. Yeah. Obviously, Brady, the Pats are a power as ever, but I don't know. I don't trust Brady. I'm in my other league. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jackson's just solid at running back. Fournette just gets the ball like 100 times a game, and it's like he's bound to get you 10 points every game.
He is.
But Kyle's team really has like a lot going for it. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not sold on like Coleman. I'm not sold on anybody in San Francisco really, because they're just like one of those teams that grinds it out. But Dalvin, obviously one of the best players this year. So I don't know. I guess this is going to be a tight one. I don't know. This is a tight one. What do you think?
This is an interesting one because these are probably the two most polar opposite style. Like Jackson has probably the most consistent team in the league. If you look at his team, it's like Brady, then he has Diggs and Jones, Chubb and Fournette. Waller's a top 5 tight end this year. Eckler's having a year. He has a super balanced team. So you're never – I know he put up 55 that one week. But like in general, you're not going to blow him out. He's like a hard out. The difference between him and Kyle is Kyle's team is so top-heavy with those top 4 players. He's got Dak and Amari, who have been kind of like that MVP combo this year. Any of them can break out at any time. He's got Hopkins, who's been a little slower this year, but still DeAndre Hopkins. And then he's got probably the best running back in the game besides Caffrey, which is Cook. So he's this home run hitting guy who will either put up 75 or 140. And this week he looks like, based on his matchups against Detroit, against Denver, I mean, he has the potential to do that. Yeah. But I like Jackson's team a lot. I think Jackson does make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think
the 9 from Chubb's going to hurt.
Yeah. I think that Kyle edges him out. I just think I think it comes down to Diggs. Like, it's a tough Denver matchup. Eckler, I don't know if he can keep working his magic. I don't understand how he gets any points with Gordon in the lineup again, but like somehow every week Eckler pulls it out. It's a tough matchup with Kansas City. Maybe it's a shootout, but yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Kyle.
I think Kyle wins just because I think he could get like 50 to 60 points from Prescott and Cooper. He could have one of those big, like Cooper scores 2 big touchdowns. Dak doesn't throw any picks. Detroit's kind of like that. They're pretty good, but they're not. They're in the dome. I think that's a Dalvin Cook too in the dome versus Denver. I think Kyle puts up big numbers. Jackson has a nice day. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think this is like 125 to 120 type game, which we haven't had
Yeah.
that many of. But
Yeah, I mean, going into Monday night, Eckler, maybe it'll
yeah,
be one of
who's
those.
he have Monday? So he has Eckler on Monday, and Kyle's got.
Yeah, it'll probably come down to that. I feel like I could see him down like 15 or 10, and then yeah.
I could see that. If it's within 15, he has a chance. All right, let's move on. We'll go to your matchup. I want to hear what you have to say about. Ooh, Brian, this is a good game. Because Brian got 10 points out of who? Not bad. I'll take 10 points out of Landry.
I know. I was kind of hoping to see less than that, and I just like haven't been able to get my shit together at tight end all season. So.
Yeah, tight end's one of those positions.
I mean, yeah, I'm just riding Lamar and McCaffrey into the ground. Like they're really what I got going.
Yeah.
I'm putting Damian Williams back in the lineup after drafting him like third overall.
Back in?
Yeah, because I think I don't know if Shady's healthy or not, but we'll see. He had a big game last week. He's projected 10 this week. Devontae Parker really stepped it up in Miami. He's the guy. I know they're a shit show, but it's one of those fantasy situations where his volume makes up for it. On Brian's side, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of question marks for me. Kamara, you never know. I feel like this season what you're going to get. Garoppolo, again, it's like he's solid, but is he like a top fantasy quarterback, or is he just the right guy for the right job for the San Francisco team that's rolling? So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, hold up. First off, he benched Odell, which is wild.
It's a great call.
Great call benching Odell for Landry. So that's a good first call. If he'd started Odell and he only got 6 points, he'd be in a tough spot. The problem with I obviously am a homer for Brian. I hope he kind of pulls this out and gets to 5 and 6 because it'd be interesting to see kind of these 4 and 6 teams all win this week to see where they get. But the problem with Brian, I think all of Brian's wins, Aaron Jones has like over 30 points. You know what I mean? It's like every week Jones scores 40 and Brian will win by 5 or 10.
Yeah, that was a big pick for him in the draft, yeah.
Like look at Aaron Jones's – he's a couple weeks where it's like 27, 35, 42, 21. Like he has some of those kind of big weeks in him. Let me get rid of that question mark. I just, without Odell being Odell, which ultimately is going to be one of the biggest busts of the year, without Aaron Jones, Flash Gordon is now kind of irrelevant. I just don't see where Brian gets his firepower this week. I think Garoppolo is fine. I think Chark has actually been a really nice pickup for him. Kamara is going to need to have a 30-point game. I just don't see it happening for Brian. I think he gets a nice 90-point game and he doesn't embarrass himself. But like you said, I like Lamar kind of in that big 1 o'clock game versus Watson. I'm surprised they haven't flexed that to a night game or something. But I like Lamar a lot in that matchup. I like McCaffrey a lot against the Falcons.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a juicy matchup.
That's the juiciest matchup you can get in a dome. Christian McCaffrey against the Falcons, and like you said, I like the Damian Williams play. I mean, he's projected 10 points. He had 19 2 weeks ago. He's got 9. He's kind of coming back. Like you said,
he's getting the volume.
Yeah, he's getting the volume. I like this play, and ultimately, I think you need Damian Williams to kind of keep your season where it's at. I think you get the win here. I think you get a nice 110 to 90 type win. I think it's a relatively easier one for you. I think it's probably not tied going into the final night, but I think it's probably like you're down 2 or 3 points and Damian gets you, that kind of bigger game to just push you over the top. Maybe tied going into it.
It's a must win to keep up with Kyle. So
yeah, Kyle's starting to put the pressure on. So let's see. Let me give you a little love here. 1 second. So we'll give you the win. And then the last matchup must be, I don't even know it off the top of my head, but 1 sec.
It's Emerson and
Dylan, right?
Yep. Wow. Huge game.
Huge game. This is a big game. Problem is, M is without Saquon Barkley. Sterling Shepard obviously hasn't played all year, so he's going to have to do this with his bench. But I'll start here. I love the Kyler start versus the Niners.
Yep.
I think Kyler every week is becoming must start just because of his ability to kind of sling it and his ability obviously to run. He's that dynamic playmaker that you kind of need to make a run. I like Tyreek versus the Chargers a lot. Tyreek has been coming back strong since he got injured. I think Melvin has now proved himself to be the number 1 back even with Eckler around, and he's become kind of that must start. And obviously Kelsey is great too. I just don't love that he doesn't have Saquon this week. I don't love his flex. I know Larry Fitz is having an okay year, but look at that. He has no Rodgers, no Shepard, no Barkley, no Rashad Penny, who hasn't been doing much. This is a tough one, man, because I like Dylan's team a lot this week. I love that Mahomes is kind of now fully back into it.
Yeah.
It's Keenan. Gurley has been kind of the biggest question mark of the year, really, when it comes down to his usage. Ronald Jones was a nice pickup. I think the difference will be – this will become one of our lower scoring weeks or games, but I think the difference will be no Saquon and no Rodgers for him, and is kind of losing because of his bye week. Everett could kind of be an X factor because he's a tight end for the Rams, but he kind of plays like that wide receiver. And I like Gallup. I'll give Dylan the win here. I think Dylan gets above 100. I think he gets like that 102, 103 range. Emerson hovers around like 87. I think it's probably close for a little while.
I think if Gurley has a big night on Sunday night, then Dylan definitely takes it. Mahomes is just like back on a roll, and I think like Rodgers has been so key for Emerson here. Without him, it's just gonna be hard. I mean, Murray maybe goes off against San Francisco. We'll see.
I think this is a good matchup, and I think both of them need this win. Emerson a little bit more so. I think he can't go 4-7 is really hard with so many people at 4-6 already, kind of like pulling ahead, the ability to pull ahead. To me, this guy right here has the potential to be Dylan's X factor for the next few weeks. Michael Gallup. The Cowboys are going to start making their run now. I love Gallup, kind of in that second receiver against the second cornerback kind of guy. So I think if he could start kind of like, if you look at some of his stats, they're pretty great. I think if you could keep him as your flex moving forward, that's a good play for Dill. I like Dill's team. He's 5-5, but he's a quiet 5-5. Him and Jackson are kind of sitting there at 5-5, but he's got a good little squad to him. So I think he gets this win, puts the pressure on you guys, and kind of stays in that top 4, top 5 spot. All right, so that's it. You give Dill the win here?
Yeah. Why not?
Let's give Dill the win. Sorry. All right, so we got everyone. We projected here that I'll take out Cal. We both projected Darcy gets the win over Ethan. Let me annotate this to make it a little bit easier for all of us to share here. So we got I'll win, Darcy will win. We said Kyle's going to win, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then you're going to beat Brian, and then obviously Dill will get the win. All right. So that's this week. I think these are, if you look at some of the matchups every week, there's some good ones, some bad ones. This is probably one of the better weeks. All of them are pretty close.
I think you got some classic matchups. You against Cal, Ethan against Darcy.
Yep.
It'll be a fun one.
It's a good one. All right, so looking at the playoffs, I'll go first to kind of give my gut. You don't have to say their record, but let's just kind of go. Why don't we go how about this? As opposed to doing 1 through 10, why don't we just do our top 4?
Yeah, that's easier.
Let's just do, who do you think the top 4 is starting the playoffs? I'm going to go, I think I finished 1. I do think Kyle finishes 2. To me, the kind of question between like Emerson and above, kind of finishing those last 2 is kind of where I'm at right now. I like Jackson's balance, so I'll give him 3. And I think you'll etch out the other guys. 1, your point differential between Dylan's pretty big, and that's going to be huge. Emerson has such a wild card team. I'm going to go me, Kyle, Jackson, and then you're in the 4th spot.
I'm going to go you and Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emerson, and then me.
Wow.
I mean, M's team has had a couple of bad breaks, but he really has a lot of firepower. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Who's got the 4th team?
No, me.
Oh, so you're coming in 4th, or you had Emerson?
I think I'll come in 4th. I put Jackson, not jumping tier. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying me, Kyle, Emerson, you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm going me, Kyle, Jackson, you. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see what these bottom 4 teams do. I mean, I think they got to make a move, especially if the problem is Brian, Cal, and Ethan have to make a move because you can't tie anyone, because these scores right now are going to kill you, especially Dylan too, right? Like you need to kind of win outright, so that's going to really hurt. So, all righty. Well, that's about it. Let me stop sharing my screen. That was this week's Commish Note, week 11. Alex, thanks for coming on. Any parting words? I think you got it all out there.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for inviting me on. A lot of fun. We should do more of these.
Yeah, totally. Well, cheers. Happy Saturday, everyone. And, let's have a good week tomorrow or a good Sunday tomorrow.
There you go.
Let
May
me,
the best man or
all right,
woman win.
let's see here. How do I,